Story 1. Am I the a-hole for leaving my dad's birthday dinner after overhearing my sister's comment about my miscarriage? A few months ago, me, 28 female, and my sister Eva, 33 female, realized that we were both pregnant. I'd say she was about 6 weeks further than I was. She's been struggling with infertility, so we were all happy for her. I have an older son, 2 male with my husband, 32 male. Sadly, a couple weeks ago, I lost my baby. We told my family. They were all supportive, but I did sort of pull away from them. They would have tried to avoid discussing Eva's baby around me, but I didn't want to overshadow her, especially since she's wanted this for a long time. I also didn't want to be reminded of my own loss whenever I saw her. So I haven't been to my parents' place for Sunday dinner since, or really spent time with Eva, which we had been doing a lot before. I replied vaguely to any messages about my absence. Wasn't the best communication from me. Yesterday, my parents were hosting family dinner for my dad's birthday. I'd been thinking about going because I missed my family. And while of course the pain of losing my child has not faded, I'm at a point where I can at least put it a little to the side to be there for my sister and my new niece when she is born. So I let my family know that we would be coming. However, we had to get a gift for my dad, and then my son had a bit of a tantrum, so we got to my parents' place about an hour late. I wished my dad and then went to the kitchen, where my mom, Ava, and my sister-in-laws were. But before I went in, I heard them say my name, so I stopped. My mom was saying something like, "Well, I guess OP's not coming," and Ava said, "What did you expect? She probably changed her mind and is just staying home again." Honestly, I'm sorry for her, but you would think she was the first woman to ever lose a kid. And it's not even her first kid. They then kept talking about other things, but I just wanted to leave. I went and got my husband, who was with my brother-in-law, dad, and brothers in the living room. I told my dad I was really sorry, but we needed to go. They all protested, but my husband could see how upset I was, so he didn't. We got my son and left. When we got home, I just kind of cried for a while. My husband asked me what happened, and I told him. He was angry that she said that, but thought we shouldn't have abruptly left because my dad had been looking forward to seeing us, and my son missed his cousins. After this, I was feeling conflicted. Later, my brother texted me saying my dad had been really upset about us leaving and brought it up at dinner, which caused a whole fight because Mom and Eva realized that I must have heard them talking, and my dad was mad about it. My brother said that it was pretty bad, and he wished I had just stayed so none of it would have happened. Obviously, Eva didn't mean for me to hear that. They were all just frustrated that I'd been AWOL for so long. Now I feel bad because I didn't mean to ruin dinner. Obviously, what Eva said was hurtful, but I can see how my actions might have led to her saying something out of anger, and I could have talked to her about it later instead of just leaving. I don't know. Am I the AI hole? Edit to add for additional context. My family is the type to just drop by at each other's places and see one another multiple times throughout the week besides just Sunday dinner. Lately, I've been kind of fielding off any requests for people to visit. I just want to, emphasize how close my family is and how abnormal it is for me to not be seeing them regularly, even for a little bit. I haven't been ghosting them, but I just text them saying I'm not feeling up to it for dinner and kind of leave it there. My sister and my mom have always been closer to each other, as have me and my dad. Additionally, my brothers are closer to her since they're all closer in age. I mentioned this in a comment, but we didn't text anyone saying we were going to be late since my family is usually pretty lax about time. Me and my husband usually show up early though, so it's unusual for us to be late, and might have been why they thought we weren't coming. Also, my son was continuing to be a handful all the way there, so that kept us busy, and we kind of didn't think about notifying anyone. I've started looking into grief counseling, now that I feel like I can at least talk about it. As far as she's told us, my sister hasn't had a miscarriage before. She just had trouble getting pregnant to begin with. From what my brother told me, my sister and mom didn't admit to saying anything. They just kind of looked at each other once my dad mentioned me leaving, and he noticed and asked about it. Then one of my sister-in-laws, who was also in the kitchen, my other brother's wife, mentioned what they said, and my dad got mad. My other brother was also apparently angry with them, and it just turned into my mom and sister trying to defend themselves, my dad and other brother yelling, and my brother, who texted me, trying to stay out of it. Now for the comments. Grief has no time limit. Recovery from a miscarriage sucks because hormones, pain, and suffering emotionally. The fact that your family thinks you needed to seemingly suck it up and get over it is ridiculous. So no, you weren't wrong from taking time in dealing with your loss. Sounds like that they are more focused on your sister finally getting pregnant, and they want you to do the same. It's like, how dare you make your miscarriage about yourself? Don't you know your sister's pregnant? So your sister, who has struggled with infertility, finally gets pregnant and decides that a miscarriage is no big deal because it happens all the time and you already have a kid? Your brother is upset because the family fight wouldn't have happened if you just sucked it up and stayed? No consequence for your mom and sister? I'm sorry, but hell no, not the a-hole. Ask your sister if she remembers not being able to get pregnant and ask her to imagine what she would have done if she overheard you saying, she probably is staying home again. You know she isn't the first woman to suffer infertility. She can always adopt if she wants a kid so bad. Yeah, your sister likely dreaded being around pregnant women and babies because of her struggles, even if she wasn't vocal about it. But now that she is pregnant and now the only pregnant sister, she thinks she can look down and judge you. Imagine if it was reversed. I bet your family would be having her over for dinner and asking you to stay home because you were pregnant and it was too hard for her. I'm sorry, but she is a selfish jerk, and I wouldn't accept any apology she gives, if she does. Remember, she isn't sorry because she was wrong for what she said. She is sorry she got caught saying it. And your family is wrong for blaming you for being rightfully upset because your sister faced the consequence of voicing her thoughts out loud. Jesus Christ, what is wrong with your family? It's been weeks since you lost your effing baby. Weeks. You missed what? 2 or 3 Sunday dinners? And this is how your mother and sister speaks of you? Then your brother wishes to rug sweep it all. Your family is clearly ridiculously non-confrontational, considering how it's been conditioned into you and your brother, because I would have stepped into that room immediately after hearing something so vile and told my father exactly why I was leaving. However, I understand that it was shocking, so I don't blame you for just leaving, as opposed to breaking down or making a scene there. Even your husband is acting like you should have played along in those circumstances. Not the a-hole OP, but my lord, you're related to some troglodytes. Edit. You need to sit down and talk to your dad. He's on the right side of this, but even so, I don't believe he got the full story. There's no way they would own up to saying that. I agree with you. I see why OP distanced herself from her family initially. I think I would put that plan back into place more long-term. Your closest people should support you, not talk behind your back when you are not there. People grieve differently. They should have been happy that you are at the stage you are ready to socialize. Not the a-hole for me, just crappy situation for your dad, as he had no part in this and it was his birthday. Give him a call, meet up just with him, and have an honest talk. Don't ghost him and the rest of the people who didn't participate in the stupid talking. Mother and sister need to think about their stupid gossip talk, regardless if it was your first child or not. Not the a-hole. Sorry you went through this. Let's be clear. Your sister, mom, and brother are not nice people because nice people don't behave like this. Give them a wide berth for a while. You look after yourself and get through this in the best way for you. Sounds like staying away was a good plan. You don't need their bullcrap. Your sister is a massive cow of woman, not a good quality human being. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for telling my ex to give me full custody of our kids if she wants my help, and saying that's the only help I'd ever offer her? I, 34, have 2 sons, 11 and 9, with my ex, 34. We broke up after I found out she had been cheating on me with this guy, Luke. She didn't fight me on it until she told Luke she was pregnant and he disappeared. Then she told me the baby was mine and we should try to make it work. I told her we'd need a DNA test, but regardless, we were never getting back together. She had her daughter and DNA proved she wasn't mine. We weren't married, so it made it less complicated regarding birth certificates and such. She did try to put my name on her daughter's birth certificate anyway, but was told she could not. Our co-parenting relationship was so high conflict that we ended up needing to communicate through a parenting app only, and the court signed off on this. Unless there's an emergency, of course. We can try to text or email or call, but the other party is not required to acknowledge it unless it's an emergency. She hated it because she wore me down to accepting her daughter, but I did not. About 2 years later, she dated a guy called Sean, and suddenly Sean was her daughter's real dad, and I had peace, which was nice. But they also tried to cause troubles with my sons. Luckily, my boys and I had such a good relationship that my ex and Sean couldn't come between us. My ex and Sean were together for about 2.5 years, maybe 3. He got her pregnant, and then they had a son, and he left. My ex yet again tried to get me to take on her other children. She tried to poison our children against me. The courts ordered her to attend therapy and parenting classes. Custody was not changed. We always had 50-50, but she was told there would be monetary fines if she engaged in alienation again. I was also able to get our children therapy at this point. Anytime one of our boys had an event, it was difficult for a while. My ex would try to sit near me, and she had convinced her daughter that I'm her dad. I told my ex to correct it because I wasn't going to take on her daughter so she wouldn't feel bad. Her son was too young to really know what was going on. I did try for more/full custody on 4 different occasions over the way my ex was trying to use our sons and was creating more problems and mess for them. Even with the therapist saying the kids really hated being with their mom and they'd have more stability with me, the 2 judges we have seen so far have refused to change custody from 50-50, and that's where I'll lead into the next part. So my ex is now married and she has another daughter, and this one is with her husband. Before the child they shared, he was okay with her other 2 kids. Now he doesn't want to know them. Even I can see that during very brief and limited interactions, but she texts me about it, and I never respond. One of the 4 attempts at custody was when she admitted her house is hell and how much her kids are suffering because of it. But the judge still denied me. Anyway, she wants me to be there for her other 2 kids. I still say no. She told me she needs my help. This is when I said the only help I would give is taking full custody of our boys. She freaked and told me I shouldn't separate them from their family and get in the way of the sibling relationship, which honestly to me, my boys don't seem to have a close or otherwise involved relationship with any of their 3 half-siblings. The therapist even stated this. But my ex is calling me an bum and saying I shouldn't take such a hard stance and should be helping for our sons' sakes. Am I the AI hole? Now for the comments, not the a-hole. What a crappy situation for you and your sons. Your best bet is do not interact at all outside of issues with your sons. I hope things get better. Sometimes judges suck. I try to do just that, and until I replied to all this after ages of getting texts about it all, I did communicate with her about was our boys, not the a-hole. This woman doesn't only need a parenting class, but also an intensive sexual education class with a focus on proper birth control, for God's sake. Wow, your ex is auditioning for a reality show called Family Feud, the sequel. You're just trying to keep the drama on stage and off your kids' lives. Wow, what a mess. This is so above Reddit pay grade. I would say not the AI hole and hope that instead of her having 5 kids at her house, only having the 3 there might calm things down over at her house. In any case, whatever is best for your sons is your priority. Good luck. It won't be better for 2 of her kids, but at least my sons would be out of that messy and toxic dynamic she has built over there. You're not the AI hole. You've made it clear that you're only willing to help if it doesn't interfere with your own children's well-being, and you've already tried to step in for their sake in the past. It sounds like your ex hasn't respected your boundaries or your role as a parent, and you've been firm about not taking on her other children. You've also tried to keep things stable for your sons, which is your priority. Her anger is more about her problems, not your responsibility. You're just standing up for your kids and maintaining healthy boundaries, not the AI hole. Do you have an actual lawyer to assist you with these judges? You will be surprised how often judges don't look at evidence until representation points crap out and ask them questions about it. She also admits life in that house is hell. Have you contacted Child Protective Service and used her own words as a reason to open an investigation? I have a lawyer, and I have appeared in front of a judge with it. No, I never did. But I know CPS was called on her at one point and investigated, but all that came from that was more parenting classes. That's rough. I would call them again. Hell, reported every time. Volume of credible reports also is taken into account. If her current partner is the issue and refuses more parenting classes, then that might be enough for CPS to remove the kids from her and into your custody. Not the AI hole. Send her birth control brochures. She needs to realize that trying to baby trap a guy doesn't give the results she wants. It's failed 4 out of 4 times so far. She needs to go after the other fathers of her children for support and custody. Where are her parents in all of this? And the parents of the fathers? How old are the rest of her kids? Her parents are flaky people. Once their kids were in their mid to late teens, they started exploring their own interests and traveling the world more. They just weren't there. The siblings aren't close in her family either. Not sure about the families of the different fathers. Her other kids are 7 and under-ish. Story 3. Am I the AI hole for telling my sister that my nephew is not my baby? My sister, 23 female, lives at home and has a 6-month-old baby. She never moved in with her boyfriend because they live far from each other and neither of them wanted to compromise. Her baby daddy never ever comes around. He's seen their son probably less than 30 days total of his entire life. And because of this, my sister has been treating me, 21 female, and my mom as his other parent. She expects free childcare constantly while she works and whatnot, and gets very upset when I act hesitant about it for whatever reason, because she doesn't want to send him to daycare. She'd be eligible to get free childcare in our state, but doesn't trust it. And I love my nephew to death, but these are my child-free college years. I have been parentified and forced to play mommy for my little siblings for years. And just when they're getting to the age that they don't need me so much, I don't think I should be forced to step up and play mommy to another child who isn't mine, especially when I'm on winter break for the next couple of weeks and just want to enjoy sleeping in way too late and being lazy before I'm thrown back into full-time college. This has been happening for 4 months at this point, though. So when she asked if I'd watch him tomorrow, I got a bit of an attitude, but ultimately said yes. But to that, she got snappy with me and was like, "Why do you always act like you don't want to do it?" To which I got upset and responded, "Because he's not my kid and I shouldn't be expected to do this all the time." She got very angry at me and is now not talking to me at all, and is surely going to weaponize my nephew against me. And to an extent, sure, I understand her anger. I know that you should be able to rely on your village, and I don't know if I'm in the wrong for not wanting to do this. But I am so tired of taking care of other people's children all the time for free, even if I love the kids to death. I can't tell if I'm being selfish or not. Am I the AI hole here? Now for the comments, not the AI hole. You did not decide to have a baby. She did. Taking care of the baby is her responsibility. I might be hesitant to put a 6-week-old in daycare, but not a 6-month-old. Now, if he goes to daycare and one day she needs you because baby is sick and can't go, then I'd hope you'd step up. But that should be a rare thing. It's her kid, not yours. Yeah, if it was a once-in-a-while thing, I wouldn't mind it so much. But expecting me to get up at 7 a.m. 4 days a week for months with no plan on ever arranging other childcare is absolutely bizarre. I love my nephew to death, but I cannot keep doing this. I don't have kids yet for a reason. Not the a-hole 100%. She expects free childcare constantly while she works and whatnot and gets very upset when I act hesitant about it for whatever reason. You didn't choose to have a child. She did. She's got no right to foist her responsibilities on you. If she doesn't trust the childcare, it's on her to find another solution. You absolutely have every right to enjoy your freedom. You're 21. I don't think I should be forced to step up and play mommy to another child who isn't mine. Absolutely, especially as you have already had to go through parentification, which is never okay. If she weaponizes your nephew against you, that's a clear statement of who she is. Doing that is always disgraceful. You aren't being selfish. She is. Stand your ground. Not the a-hole, but you are still mired deep within a false sense of obligation. You need to step back and have a long and hard think about what you having these college years means to you, what they can be if you live them as you want to and deserve to, and then fight for them. Because otherwise you won't get to live them and they will never come back. You will spend them babysitting and being bossed around. Experiences you would have had, friends you would have made, things that would have influenced your whole life won't happen. You need to work out just how much babysitting you are willing to do and then not do an hour more. You need to be utterly strict about it and take no crap. You need to not care a damn how your sister tries to punish you with moods and whatnot. Ultimately, she is the one who wants something out of you, and anything you give her is something she should be grateful for. You don't owe her any of it. She is the mother. If she feels entitled to it because you have spine made of tofu, then she won't even feel grateful because you doing it is the norm and only to be expected. You giving in will only be rewarded by her feeling entitled to it and then getting angry whenever you aren't sacrificing as much as you can for her sake all the time. If I were you, I would only give her a minimum of babysitting, bar emergencies, and then be ruthless about having your time respected, with babysitting cut off for a time for any infractions. This is the only way you will be respected and appreciated. Your sister will cope. She will find a way and start making her own sacrifices properly as she should, because her baby is her responsibility. Of course, if manipulating and pressuring you into sharing half the load works, she will choose that. But if it doesn't, she will find her own way. You just have to weather out the storm after you start saying no and mean it. And she reacts by trying to make it easier for you to give in rather than deal with all she's throwing at you. It will end if you stick to your guns, but there is only a light at the end of that tunnel if you ride things out. Great life advice. Putting in place boundaries can be tough, especially when people you care for try to guilt trip or manipulate you into breaking them. Ultimately, OP, when she's not respecting your boundaries, she's saying she doesn't care as much for you as you appear to do for her/her child. At the end of the day, the only person who can 110% stick up for you and give you what's best is you. Put yourself first, because no one else will. And as the commenter above said, you don't want to miss out on your life for someone else's.